Irish Guy, and that was a crazy Premier League weekend. Here is the Prem catch-up. Let's take a look at what happened this weekend. Right, let's go. Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Lads, I hate to say it, but Curtis Jones is allegedly a horrible person. What? You don't believe me? Let me show you this clip of some bloke walking his dog.
But the one that really got to me, is the footballer Curtis Jones.
He looks like he's just come from burying a body in the Yorkshire moors.
No, he was a Liverpool fan. I just went to him as well, just to kind of sort his passport out. But then said Curtis, and he just blanked me. He never looked at me. And I said Curtis, and he just blanked me again. And then I said Curtis. He exploded. He turned around, glared into my eyes for a good 3 or 4 seconds, and stuck his chest out to me. So I was so shocked by it. I just did not see it coming.
So, apparently, Jones is mean. Yeah, he might look like a happy-go-lucky man of the Scouse people, the Merseyside Sean Longstaff. You might think as we speak he's tossing a bag of hula hoops to some homeless man under a bridge. But apparently this local hero is a bit of a brat. The Scouse American psycho. Poor old Jones has hurt this man's feelings. I mean, according to this man's testimony, I guess Curtis is the type of fella who would probably push you down the stairs if you refused him a cookie. But look, this was a quality Reds performance. Levi Colville had a brain this couple of minutes. First of all, he gets away with the concession of a penalty with VAR saving the day. But then a minute later, he gives away another one. This is like O.J. Simpson being found innocent in the trial of the century. 10 years later, he gets banged up for robbery. I mean, come on! Anyway, Mo Salah dispatches the penalty and once again celebrates against his former club. Well, lads, it is the Jones winner that does not sit well with me. Lads, Liverpool deserved the victory, absolutely. But I am sorry, Robert Sanchez is a scaredy cat. Don't forget that Jones scored his goal after a horrible first touch. Mo Salah scoops the ball into the box to an on-rushing Jones, who knocks the ball 3 yards in front of him. It bobbled off his foot, as if he had suddenly morphed into Kermit the Frog. He should not have been able to get away with that awful touch. In that moment, he was like the anti-Burkamp. Imagine displaying that sort of first touch in front of someone like Berbatov. It would be a bit like having lunch with the king and then flicking snots into his tea. How does Sanchez not immediately smother that loose ball? How is he not diving in to claim that football? Instead, he pauses and turns his face away from Jones so as not to hurt his chin. Lads, I remember when Chelsea goalkeepers literally broke their skulls for this club. Christ, I remember a match in October 2006. Chelsea under peak Mourinho rocked up to Reading, and I remember both of their goalkeepers being knocked out unconscious on the floor. And John Terry is someone who finished that game in goal for Chelsea. The previous season, they had Glenn Johnson step into goal. I'm telling you now, neither of those guys would have shied away from a collision with Jones. They would at least have showed more bravery than Sanchez. I mean, check out someone who had to wear a helmet for the rest of his career because of his bravery in goal for Chelsea. Even to this day, he's probably not physically able to watch 3D films, but Sanchez, he was scared of Curtis Jones, the former high school jock. You know, the fellow probably spends 3 hours a day curling his hair in front of a mirror. You're scared of him. Sanchez was like that airport nerd walking his dog. It's not good enough. Sanchez is somebody who is deemed not good enough anymore for Brighton and Hove Albion. How on earth is this former Rochdale goalie now first choice for Chelsea's billion-pound squad? Is it not worth chucking your new £20 million signing for Villarreal Philip Jorgensen into net yet? I mean, I don't know much about the Swedish-born Dane, but I would imagine he's not as squeamish as the Spanish milk muffin. This is someone who definitely asked his wife to get rid of spiders in his house. He's probably someone who has nightmares if he eats too many Smarties before bed. I just don't understand why Chelsea splashed out on £100 million midfield stars. They have pumped money into the outfield positions and yet just cheap out on a goalie. It's like spending mega millions to build a golden castle and yet you choose to make the roof out of straw and empty bags of skips. Yeah, Storm Ashley is gonna ruin your home. Honestly, Chelsea, get a new GK. Honestly, £50 million for Pickford in January. Make it happen. Fulham 1, Aston Villa 3. Play the clip!
Well, look, I know Fulham have had a great start to the season, but I can smell a huge Villa win here. 3-1 win. Villa goals from Ollie Watkins, John McGinn, and yes, John Duran. With Raul Jimenez keeping up his decent goal scoring streak.
Am I a genius? Am I some sort of mini sorcerer? Am I Gandalf with a scarf? Because lads, I was probably the only person on planet Earth to possibly predict a 3-1 Villa win at Craven Cottage, with both Raul Jimenez and Ollie Watkins scoring. By the way, can we talk about this Mexican beast for a minute? I thought he was done. This former Wolves megastar, someone at one point was being linked with an £80 million move to Old Trafford. Lads, 5 years ago, this guy looked like being the next Radamel Falcao, which is strange because he was never really given a chance at Atletico Madrid. But then he cracked his skull like an egg. And for about 2 or 3 years there, he looked like a confused bunny. I mean, towards the end of his time at Molineux, you know, when he went a whole season without scoring, the guy looked like a tennis player stuck onto the pitch. But now, the guy's got 10 goals in his last 12 starts. I thought he was done, that he was finished, and was now a big bag of crippled Doritos, he should be banished to the MLS. I thought this guy was now waking up 4 times a night with crippling migraines, and that he's no longer able to lift a spoonful of Rice Krispies without screaming out in pain. But no, the guy's absolutely back to his best, and I haven't been this confused by a player's resurgence in the Premier League since Yakubu. Yeah, remember that Nigerian beefcake striker who was the epitome of a Barclays man? By the way, that craze on Twitter sounds incredibly stupid. A Barclays man. That just sounds like some boring postman who lets his cat eat toast off his stomach. Well, look, the Yak was a regular goal machine in the Premier League with Portsmouth, Middlesbrough, and initially Everton with a 21-goal debut season. Then he ruptured his ACL and was done. Just 10 goals trickled in the next 3 seasons at Goodison Park. He was chucked into the championship at Leicester at just 28. I fully thought he was done. Then he scores 17 in a Premier League season for Blackburn, after I'd already written him off as a soggy lump of goat cheese. So honestly, fair play, Raul. Lads, I predicted the scoreline absolutely correct. You might wonder how on earth I knew that Villa would win 3-1. Was Alfie plumped for a stupid 2-2? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. I have a time machine where I can pop into the future and see future results. Want me to prove it? Fine. This is me in a year.
Oh God, I'm really sick of this old scarf.
Yeah, I should really start using some face cream. Southampton 2, Leicester 3. Why does Jimmy Vardy keep doing this? Lads, I'm convinced Southampton fans must absolutely hate Leicester, because what would have hurt more? Losing 9-0 at home to the Foxes in October 2019, or throwing away a 2-goal lead to lose against their relegation rivals? I actually think this game will be more of a gut punch for those fans. I mean, lads, the last team Southampton actually beat in the Premier League was Leicester back in March 2023. They have now had 21 top-flight matches since then and failed to win a single one. You know how scary that is? Lads, imagine telling any Southampton fan back in August 2022, when Romeo Lavia helped them beat Chelsea when Tuchel was still in charge. Imagine telling them that 2 years and 3 months would pass by and they would only have experienced 1 Premier League win at home since. And Russell Martin, I don't know how that man showed restraint. I don't know how he didn't walk into his dressing room at full time and just spend 20 minutes throwing hot coffee in everyone's face. He must have wanted to feed Ryan Fraser to a hippo, because that guy comes onto the pitch as an impact sub on 62 minutes to try and see out a 2-0 win. 2 minutes later, for could have won or not, he drags back a goal for Leicester, and 8 minutes after that, Fraser is sent off for giving away a pen. The bloke was only exercising for 10 minutes. He won't have even needed a shower. Just chuck some Lynx Africa on his armpits, and he'll have been fine to go out to the flicks with his wife to see Smile 2. I mean, remember when this miniature blob was downing tools for Eddie Howe at Bournemouth, choosing to not partake in their lockdown relegation battle because he didn't want to injure himself and prevent a move to either Arsenal or Liverpool. Yeah, and don't forget, the winger was getting heavily linked with a move to the Gunners. Yeah, the guy who looked like the dwarf of Game of Thrones. Seeing him at the Emirates now would be so confusing, because it just looks like if you squashed Ben White. It must be so incredibly humbling for this bloke that it's 4 years down the line, and he's not even seen as Premier League worthy anymore. But Steve Cooper is an absolutely ruthless man, because this is somebody who's in a very similar situation to Russell Martin 2 years ago, both unproven ex-Swansea coaches. But don't forget, on match day 6 of the 22-23 Premier League season, sure, Nottingham Forest had already beaten West Ham at home, they had a win on the board, but they just lost 3 in a row, being spanked 6-0 at Man City, and they go 2-0 up against relegation rivals Bournemouth, a team who just lost 9-0 themselves, and they blow it. The Cherries scored 3 in the second half and win. Cooper was heavily linked with the Forest sack. The guy might as well have been having a noisy picnic in the middle of a frozen lake. He looked like he was one loud sneeze away from losing his job. Or I mean, going by the scary Forest owner's death stares, nah, he looked like if he kept losing matches, he'd probably been fed to a gorilla at the zoo. To be fair, it might have been an improvement on his face. But look, Cooper would have felt incredibly low after that nightmarish match in September 2022. But he recovered and kept Forest up. So Russell Martin, this isn't over. It looks bleak, but just look at Cooper's success. Wolves 1, Man City 2. So, it's happened. Wolves have officially collected less points from their last 18 Premier League matches, as Derby County, the worst ever Premier League side, selected from their first 18 Premier League matches. This is embarrassing, although, oh boy, I'm surprised Gary O'Neill's head did not explode, because yes, with the scores level at 1-1, John Stones then leaps like a salmon to nod in a 95th minute winner. Should it have been disallowed? Because Bernardo Silva backs into Jose Sa just as the corner was being whipped in, which, lads, is genius management from Pep Guardiola and the Man City team, because Silva was the perfect villain to play that role, as no referee would ever take him seriously as a bully. Come on, the guy looks like he belongs in Romeo and Juliet. He's a Spanish hobbit about as intimidating as bubble gum. Sa is double his size, so no. Silva did not look like he was pushing him around. And then Silva completely moves out of the way and ducks. So there's no way Sa's view of the ball was impeded. It wasn't like an offside Silva was in his line of vision, but he did slightly nudge him backwards. I don't know. I don't know if goalkeepers should be this protected species, because during corner kicks, you jostle. First of all, centre backs and strikers move into each other all the time. It is a contact sport. Should goalkeepers be entirely left alone? I'm not sure. Why? I think goalkeepers get too much protection. It's almost like referees think they're a vulnerable, dying species on the brink of extinction. Nah, mate, they ain't koala bears. They're footballers. And they should be treated equally. It's not like Silva was climbing all over Sa, giving him a wedgie, and asking for a kiss. No, he just slightly backed into him. So if I'm the referee, yeah, I think I would have allowed the goal. Newcastle 0, Brighton 1. Does nobody remember that Danny Welbeck used to play for Sunderland? Was his loan spell there back in 2010 that completely forgettable that nobody knows that thing is on his CV? Lads, this result was a total smash and grab, with Brighton getting absolutely outplayed and schooled at St James's Park. They were having to rely on both Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak being wasteful chipmunks in front of goal. People have called this man the best centre forward in the league outside of Haaland, but his performance on Saturday was the worst I have ever seen Isak play. The guy looked like prime Emmanuel Riviere, or Luke de Jong was in Newcastle shirts. Even his first touch, his close control, it was completely off. It looked like he spent that morning getting swallowed by the Space Jam aliens. Look, I know on his day Isak is an elite finisher, but against Brighton, it was painful to watch. It looked like I was watching someone's nan trying to eat cornflakes on an aeroplane. You just know the passenger behind is getting covered in milk and spit. But look, Welbeck scores a smash and grab winner, and then goes down in the second half with a typical back injury. Typical Danny Welbeck. He then gets stretchered off the pitch, and everyone claps, which is nice and respectful, obviously, for the home fans to clap off a seriously injured player, but it's like nobody realized they were applauding a former Sunderland striker. I think everyone just forgets. It's like when the Magpies played Borussia Dortmund a year ago and Giovanni Reina trots onto the pitch as a substitute for the Germans, and nobody booed. Nobody even acknowledged his existence. Because I'm the only one who knows that this bloke was literally born in Sunderland. The guy entered the world in a Sunderland hospital. To be fair, it would have probably been more hygienic to be delivered in a McDonald's toilet. He probably had his umbilical cord cut with a spoon that one of the nurses had stolen from Pizza Hut. Well, as people need to research the opposition players who come into their stadium, because even Welbeck was allowed to score and celebrate in front of the Geordies, and nobody twigged that he's a former Sunderland employee. Not a single boo out of a Newcastle fan's mouth. You'd have probably heard more boos from Casper the Friendly Ghost, and that bloke was a soft melt. Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 0. And Arsenal have slipped up. Lads, everyone seemed to think that Arsenal would win the Premier League this season. That surely was going to be third time lucky in the title race for Arteta. But you cannot rock up to Bournemouth's ice cream ban of a ground and lose and still expect to have a Premier League trophy in May. And look, the Gunners have nobody to blame but themselves. William Saliba gets himself sent off for clamoring all over Evan Nielsen. So yeah, absolute red card. And lads, the Cherries are the most underrated team in the league. It's like nobody wants to acknowledge and respect the work Andoni Iraola has done, because everyone is still so upset with them for ruthlessly sacking Gary O'Neill. Just like when Mauricio Pochettino replaced Nigel Atkins at Southampton, everyone was willing this foreign, home-wrecking coach to fail. Everyone thought it was a disgrace when Atkins was sacked in January after guiding Southampton to back-to-back promotions. And lads, Pochettino got this newly promoted side to beat Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea before the end of the season. And still, it took another 6 months for people to finally start rating him. And similarly, I don't hear one bit of noise for Iraola. It seems like it's just me singing his praises every week. And I think that is a disgrace. I am the only one. Everyone else is ignoring this guy. But can we please start putting some respect on his name and start linking him with massive jobs? I mean, Ryan Kersey's goal was the work of some beautiful set-piece practice in training. And then, yeah, Justin Kluivert scores a penalty to absolutely consign the Gunners to defeat. But I'm not going to go in on Arsenal for losing with 10 men. No, I just want everyone to wake up and realize what an absolute delight this Bournemouth team are. And I think this is the best Bournemouth team of all time. Ipswich 0, Everton 2. Lads, I find it incredible that Ipswich are now winless in their first 8 Premier League matches. They have not experienced a win in the top flight since 2002. And yet, they're not in the relegation zone. I'm absolutely flabbergasted how they're not. 0 wins in 8 league matches is horrid. And lads, Everton are their relegation rivals. And the fact that they were allowed to rock up to this ground and easily win 2-0, it's not a good look. It'll be a relegation... This is just sad. Man United 2, Brentford 1. Alejandro Garnacho is special. Look, this match could have been a disaster, with Ethan Pinnock scoring a goal for Brentford from a corner kick just before half-time. But no, Garnacho scores a sizzlingly special goal. Then Rasmus Højlund chips in a beauty. A finish very similar to peak Wayne Rooney. And yeah, Ten Hag lives to fight another day. Tottenham 4, West Ham 1. Mohamed Kudus is a brainless brat. This is someone who's one of the most special players outside the top 6. Absolutely brimming with star quality. But I think he just might have cost himself a big move with this utter meltdown, pawing both Van den Ven and Sarr in the face. He accidentally headbutts Richarlison too. I haven't seen a footballer collect a bigger body count on his way to a red card since Joey Barton at the Etihad in 2012. But look, Spurs recover from losing 1-0 to absolutely romp to a 4-1 win. Brilliant Ange football. But the Hammers, just watch. Those fans are soon going to be turning on Lopetegui. Anyway, that's the end of it. What do you think? Let me know. What do you think of the Premier League game week this week? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to get like, share, subscribe, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.